I think when you get into the mesh and pitch phase of option football is where it kind of separates, hate to say separates the men from the boys, but it separates coaches who really want to run option football from those that don't, because a lot of guys view it as too risky, man, the mesh, and then you're pitching it, they fear turnovers, and maybe because they just don't have confidence in teaching it. But I do see it's kind of a contradiction in terms. A lot of these same coaches will get really pass heavy and put the ball in the air, which is a lot of decision making and can be risky in its own right. But I think if you install it with confidence and the way you present it to your players, they're going to make good decisions for you. And there's going to be some things that happen with turnovers at times. But I'll say over the years that our mesh and our pitch were not a big source of turnovers for us. We've always been a really good turnover margin team. I don't like to say wear you out with statistics, but usually double digits. I'm very proud of that. If we turned the ball over, it was usually once a ball carrier had it in his possession and just used some type of poor ball carrying technique. But it's all about decision making and minimizing risk as in any phase of football, especially when you're talking about offense and quarterbacks. This, I would say, mesh and pitching is similar to throwing and catching for teams that are pass heavy. It's got to be rep daily. The physical mechanics have to be taught correctly and securely in place. And we teach two basic meshes and pitches, and we build from it. Kind of a unique thing that you may not think of if you've never messed with, hand to belly and hand to pitch type of football is we start backwards when we start teaching it. I think it's important to note this. I mean, you deal with triple option football especially, that the quarterback is the guy executing the reads on the give or pull, pitch or run. And we want the other two components, whether it's fullback dive or the pitchback, to make their part right. It's not just a quarterback thing. The fullback's got to make the crease right that we'll talk about. We use a clear, cloudy concept. And the pitchback has got to be in that same constant relationship no matter what kind of option we're running. And you can see by the film when we get to it that that's not always the case, but he's close, and we can get away with a little bit of margin of error in both situations. So we have two basic meshes, midline and veer, and then we talk about clear and cloudy off of both. And you can see same game right here, same kids executing a midline action, some of the mechanics into it, the footwork or the body position, very athletic position there. We always talk about ball security conceptually in the mesh. It's a feel thing. You give a few principles and rep it a bunch every day. The quarterback's in control. The fullback reacts. We try to give the quarterback a one-way thought process. We don't jog his mind or cloud his mind with a lot of if-thens. And you get confidence through consistency, just like you would in the passing game. And both have to have great pre-snap awareness for reads and the creases for the fullback. One of the many reasons we like him in a two-point stance. For offensive practice to happen when we're installing the mesh, we got to have the cadence, the snap, and mesh in place. Just in our style of offense, if we can't do those things, then we're probably not really ready to practice as a unit. Again, we do teach it backwards. I'll show you, tell some of that on film. We try to move at the quarterback's pace. No reads until fundamentals are set, and we have two basic meshes with some similar crossover, but some differences. A midline mesh is a straight ahead mesh where the full quarterback's feet are set. It's a little easier overall. And then a veer mesh, which is angled, and the quarterback's more of a moving mesh, riding the side, if you will. In teaching, again, we like to talk kind of a basic progression. If we had kids that never done it before, or even if they have, sometimes we like to get them back to their roots. And we'll do some of these drills with our eyes closed a lot early on just to teach them the confidence. We do a hook up and feel. We do a one-step remove. Then we do full mesh, all as a walkthrough, maybe as a jog or run through. We focus on gives and pulls with no reads. Again, a lot of times we close our eyes just so they can feel what it should feel like. And you eliminate a lot of the time and frustration of going all the way under center and all the things that can go wrong from start to finish. Now you hook them up from the beginning and you eliminate those things. And when as you work backwards, those things don't come into play near as much. We will introduce reads when it's time at the same progression, very easy. And then we'll get to tweener or instinctive reads last as the quarterback gets experience. So let's talk about some fundamentals of the mesh. And you can see the picture right there. That's what we want. Hands to belly, not pads clanging. And we don't want the ball on the hip, way separated, but that takes time to get to that point. Quarterback pre-snap, you got to always know your dive key, his alignment and demeanor. After this ball snap, his first step, the eyes and the ball going back is all one thing. It's all one movement, not separate movements. Ball beats my feet. Ball goes from butt to gut. All good coaching points that I've heard over the years and used. First two steps are critical for both meshes. Quarterback wants to get the ball out and flat on the table. If we miss, we want to miss wide with the ball because your arms are like shock absorbers, and they'll give and take with the mesh as you feel the fullback coming over the football. The mesh ride window is from hip to hip, basically, on paper, but we want to be decisive and strong. Giver pull looks the same coming off the mesh. That means he's going to pull his hands back and explode to the next phase of the option or to obviously finish the play. We like to say reach, ride, read, run with rhythm. It's a little different than midline and veer, but we want to have that good, smooth flow to both meshes. The fullback in the pre-snap mesh fundamentals is he's got to know the dive crease and the crease situation. He's got to understand the scheme enough to make it right. We talk about fast control. First step is a toe point at the crease with pre-snap pad level. So that 2-point stance that we get in, that pad level should remain constant. It should not be a lot of up and down and wavering. Second step is a normal, make your pocket. The mesh window usually occurs from 2 to 3. On the steps, be a track runner. Run through your third steps. He can start to cheat at the end of the mesh, but not during. Soft squeeze, cover the ball. Think give, react to a pull. On a give, it's going to be we want him to run hard with 2 arms past the backers, get his shoulders vertical as soon as possible, especially on veer since he's at an angle. If the ball is pulled, he should dip, rip, and run, be violent with the same speed on give or pull. You see some good examples of that. Common mistakes to try to eliminate before there are problems is quarterback seeding the ball, bringing it to his belly, peeking at the fullback, late with his eyes on a read. He doesn't clear the midline, doesn't sink the veer. He runs through it. All these things to be aware of as you teach it, and you can try to cut down on some of these mistakes. The fullback, a lot of times, will step under themselves and miss wide on their pass. They focus the vision on the ball only instead of running through the ball and seeing the crease. Try to take the ball instead of reacting to quarterback's decisions. Again, all things to try to eliminate before they are an issue.